Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masech the Shavuot daf Lamed Tes. We're going to begin on the very bottom of Lamed Chesed Beis, the second and last line from the bottom, Tonu Rabbanim. So we begin at the end of yesterday's daf. We learned the entirety of this lengthy Mishnah, which is the new parak of Shavuot HaDayanim, which basically talks about a case of Moedim Mixas Satayino, which were familiar in so many places throughout Shas, where a person claims that you owe them money, and you admit to half of it, so there's a chiyuv d'oraisa. And we mentioned that it's necessary to say Hashem's name, and there also has to be nikitas chayfetz. They have to hold on to an object. We ended saying there's a distinction between a Talmid Chacham and a regular person. Talmid Chacham can make the shua sitting, and also even with tefillin, as opposed to a regular person has to be standing with a sefer Torah or something comparable to it. Tanu Shavuos HaDayanim. The truth is, it can be said in any language. It says Rashi b'chol lashon shu meiven bo. So you want to say the shua in English? That's fine. It doesn't have to be lashon kodesh. Amrulo. So they say to him, Havi oimer. So Havi yoidei. You should know. Now this is the basic context of what we tell the person to let them understand the severity of the shua that they're potentially going to make. As we continue, Lamed Tes Aleph. Shekolom kuloi nizdazda b'shah she'omer Kadosh Baruch Hu Masina L'Sisa Hashem Hashem L'Kech L'Shav. The whole world shook like an earthquake when they heard this. It's such a severe and serious of the Lamed of the Aseres Adibros. The Chol Aver Shebatayra Never Mehen V'Nake. All of the other mitzvos in the Torah, if you violate them, it says you can do tshuva and there's cleansing. However, it says that you will not receive cleansing, which means that it's not pashut. If you make this mistake, be very careful that if you end up lying in your shvuah, so then you can't just easily do tshuva on this. So most of Eris, you get punished. The one who did the sin. Not only you, but also your family. What your family do wrong doesn't matter, but your family's going to be punished. And the shnamar titin as picha should not be put into your mouth. Hatias bisarcha, to turn your flesh. Then bisaro el kroivoi. So it says that something will happen to your bisaroi. That's referring to your relatives. Shnamar umibisracha lotis alim. And that's referring to your family. So therefore, that's what it's telling you to be very careful. Again, when it comes to most of them, so you're the one who's punished. Not just your family, but the ganze Welt, the whole world is punished. Someone who engages in oaths and deceit, that individual will also receive. There'll be punishments for the entire world. And Rash the Gra brings on maybe it's only if you do all of the things wrong. The gears change. So because of this one thing the world mourns, which means it's not all the things mentioned in that pasuk, which unfortunately we don't have the whole pasuk here, but it's even just this one thing the world can be destroyed. Al Kain to Avel Haaretz, the whole world will mourn. So it's something which everyone will be affected. The Umul Kol Yeshiba, again, and everyone who is there are going to suffer. Normally, even if you did something wrong, but we don't get punished right away, maybe in a couple of generations, a kandifra menu will alter. Here you're going to get punished immediately. Doesn't matter, even if you have a schush. Shenemar v'hoisisa noam Hashem savois uvoil beis haganev ve'el beis hanishba. You'll go to the house of the thief and the house of the medishua mishmel sheker, the one who lied. V'lona b'toich beiso, he dwells in his house. The kolato, and it'll be destroyed. Ves eitzav esavanav kotziehu altar, and the wood and the stone, it's all going to be destroyed immediately. Avol Beisaganav. So what does that mean? Avol Beisaganav Zagoinav Das Abrius. This is someone who is Goinav Das Abrius, like someone who's deceitful. Shein Loy Mammon Eitzel Chavero. He really doesn't have any money by him. V'ta'ano umashpiyoi, and he makes people make oaths. So basically, a lot of people don't want to make oaths after reading this. So you may say, this is an easy way for me to get money from people. Basically, I'll say, oh yeah, you owe me money. Oh yeah, if not, you have to make a shvuah. Person doesn't want to make a shvuah, so they have no choice. Since they don't want to make a shvuah, they have to pay. So that's also someone's going of das brias. Especially maybe I don't remember necessarily. El beis hanishma b'shmil sheker kamashboy. Let's push it. We're talking about the person who says the lying shvuah. So everything that's destroyed. Now, normally, when it comes to fire and water, these are two opposite things, but nonetheless, it'll destroy. So, if you say, Eini nishba, I say, you know what, I don't want to make a shvuah, then so then you are immediately pater and you can leave, and that's the end of it. I'm going to make a shvuah. The people will say, which means he calls both parties Rishayim, the one who lies in the shvuah and the one who forced him to make such a shvuah. Ukishimish boyin oisai. When he makes a shvuah, oimrumlo havi yodeya shino shlo al daidcha nu mashmiacha oischa. It's not based on your own. This is a Gemara in the Durham, which we said, do we go buster the individual, right? El al das hamakoim vel das based in. Doesn't matter what you think, right? And therefore you could like trick people. No, it has to be your words is based on how we understand. When he made the shvuah, those who are here. That's only the people that were there. Gerim Hasidim Mizgayim Minayin. How do they're also included? Tamar V'Yes Asher Enenu. Even those who are not there. Ainly El Mitzvah Shekibu Alehem Har Sinai. Mitzvah Hasidois L'Schadesh. How about when it comes to new mitzvos? Kagayin Mikra Megillah Minayin. Talmud Loimer Kimu V'Kibu. Kimu Ma Shekibu Kvar. This is a famous Gemara in Shabbos as well. So my Afi Bilashain and Nemra. So what does that mean? Get it not? Come to tell you that everything, as we said before, this is going back to the beginning, you can say in any language. And this is a Gemara in Mishnah Sota, Parsha Saita, Vidoi Meiser, Kriyashma, Tefillah, which Kriyashma discussed at great length in Masechtas Brachos, Tefillah, the Shmonesri, Berachas HaMazon, and here's the key lines: Ushvuas Ha'edus, Ushvuas HaBikadain. When it comes to Shavuot Edus and Shavuot Bikadoin, so it can be done in any language. Now, so therefore, because we actually didn't mention Shavuot Dayanim, so therefore it's mentioned. What do we tell the guy? We want to scare the guy so he doesn't make a false Shavuot. So we say, the entire world was this. The whole world was like shaking. So my time, what was the whole fear? Is it because this was said at Har Sinai? So as Dibros Nami is understand. So they should have trembled upon all the other parts of the Aseret Dibros. What set this aside? Because when it comes to Losisa Shemukecha, it's very chomer. Umi chamira, is it true? But tanan elhin kalois asay v'lois asay. These are the lenient asays and los asays. Chutz v'losiso. The answer is yeah, but it's excluding losiso. Chamuro zukriso sumisus based in v'losiso imahen, and Losisa is part of them. So it's true, it's on a higher level than a regular losa say, but it's on the same level as maybe a krisis and misa. So again, why would the whole world shake? There's other mitzvos which are chayv krisis misas based on. El could tiny time of chaver shabbatayra never behen v'nake v'kan never liyanake. Right, b'chol of there shabbatayra will never behen liyanake v'ksiv v'nake liyanake. It does say it elsewhere. So whom we need it, as the Gemara in Yomi says, the sign of Rabbi Elazar Omer, Shalom V'nake Shkvar Nemel Yanake. It sounds like a contradiction. Is a person going to be cleansed or not? It just means that when it comes to normal mitzvos, if a person does tshuva, then you'll be forgiven. Here your family will get punished. Lo, your family won't get affected. It says that also the family will also be affected. V'tanya, and we learned furthermore, Rav Shimon imu chata. Understand, if he sinned, mishpachto machatos. What did the family do wrong? Ein locha mishpacha sheish ba moiches shein kulo moichsim, because you're not going to find a family where there's one like literally tax collector, but one thief, that the whole family aren't thieves. Sheish ba listim shein kul listim, that if you have one thief in the family, they're all families. Memnei shemachapin olav, because they cover up for one another. So the reason why the mishpacha is punished is because they also did something wrong. So I wrote over here, this is like the famous movie Goodfellas, that the woman was like, what did I do wrong? My husband committed all these crimes, but I didn't know anything. And he's like, don't give me the Babe of the Woods routine. You knew exactly what you were doing. So if you are, and this is an important thing, that usually what one person does affects the entire family. So therefore, if you're part of I mentioned organized crime, but you do something which is wrong, it's going to affect the rest of the family, because especially if, let's say, you do crime and theft, and they get used to that high lifestyle, so they're going to cover up for you. So Hasan Bedina Achrina, Hacha Bedina Dida. Over there, it's for other courts, other cases. Here, it's for the same punishment. Like you're getting the exact same punishment, as opposed to you did something wrong too. Here it is, you didn't do anything wrong, but nonetheless you're covering up the fact that, not that you're covering up, but in our case, the fact that you did something wrong, your family gets punished too. Kedesanya. Rabbi Omer b'chreisi oisa. What does that pasuk mean? Lafish nemar v'sapteni es ponai, that I'll place my face on him. Yachol kol mishpacha kula b'hicharis. Maybe the whole family will get this punishment. Oiso. Also, bicharis will call mishpacha kula bichars, not the rest of the family. V'chol averos shivatar nefraim mimenu v'kan mimenu umikol oyam kul. The whole family and the whole world. Shnemer is, it says in parentheses, zelesa kol zelesa. You don't have to say this, but we'll just see the parentheses. Shnemer elav chichesh l'ksev al kain tava haaretz v'ema adi v'hol kul zagadah l'sim b'nei ela. Avlo Aretz, because of this one thing, so we already know that, so it's not to be repeated. You're telling me that if someone does an Avera, it doesn't affect everyone else? The person stumbled to his brother. In other words, that you are going to owe because your brother sinned. So we actually are responsible for one another. So therefore, because of that, when one person does something wrong, it does affect the entire world. So we continue to Lama Testament base. That's only because you could have done something about it. You could have protested and you chose not to. So my ika ben Rishayim de Mishpachtel or Rishayim de Alma. What is the difference between the Rishayim in their family to the Rishayim of the world? Ben Sadikim the mishpachto tzadikim de almahu. Bishar veros, when it comes to other veros, bedina, when it comes to punishment, v'rishayim, the mishpacha bedin chomer. So they get a strong punishment. Rishayim de alma bedin hakal. However, the people who are Rishayim, but they're not related to this family, they'll also be held accountable, but less. However, the tzaddikim are not going to be punished at all. However, Gabi Shvua, who Rishayim de Mishpacha Kidine, he and his family will get the same punishment. Rishayim de Alma Bedin Chomer, and the Rishayim of the world will get also a very strong punishment. However, but tzaddik de Hacha v'Hacha Bedin Akal. When it comes to even the tzaddikim, they're also going to be held accountable, which again is an unbelievable statement. TA3. Ma ha'oinish b'shul mishpachtai ul alma. Ma ha'oinish b'shvua. Okay. So b'mishpachtai rishayim bedine v'tzadikim bedin kal. U'v'alma rishayim bedin chomer v'tzadikim bedin kal. Okay. Hope you can remember all that. I got that half wrong. Okay, so let's continue. Im oimer enu nishba. Let's just see if TB is a question. Okay, let's continue. So then the Mishnah said, Im omer enu nishba. So we said, if he doesn't want to make a shvuah, so paitrin oiso, yad, he can leave. I want to make a shvuah. They say about it to each other, let's remove ourselves from these wicked people. Now, Bishlamahu, I can understand this guy who makes this false shvuah, the mishtabakoi bisura. Elahu de kamishbale. Amai. Understand what's the problem? The person who forced him to make a shvuah, what is he doing wrong? Whom ben tarfin oimer shvuas Hashem tia ben shinehem olamid shechol shvuah shnehem. So we see that the shvuah falls upon both of them. Look at the top Rashi. Shishtehen noshimba. Both of them get a punishment. Shalo diktek limsar it's an unbelievable idea. Is that you should never have given this guy the money to begin with. You shouldn't have been involved with this type of a person. And therefore you're also held somewhat accountable. Okay. So because of the famous story of Kanya Rava, let's see, does Rashi bring it down? So this is brought down at great length in Masechtas Nedarim, is the concern that when it came to a staff, the guy had the money in a hollowed out staff, and he was made to make a shvuah. So he said, you know, can you do me a favor? Can you hold this for me? He gave it to the malva, and the loiva made the shvuah that I don't have the money, and I gave it to him. And it was true. And then afterwards, he took a staff back with all the money in it. So because of that, we make this say this language to say that you can't get away with these types of things. So in our Mishnah, we said that in order to be chayev a shvuah moed mimixus, the claim has to at least be a minimum of 2 kesef. So Rav, kviras taina shtei kesef, the kfira has to be 2 kesef. The shvuah omer taina atzma shtei kesef. The claim is 2 kesef. Now, feel kafar el b'pruta. So the question is, there's 2 things. There's a person who makes the taina, says you owe me money, and then you're kaifer some of it. So according to Rav, he says that the kfiras taina has to be 2 kesef, which means that the taina was more. Let's call it 2 kesef and a pruta. Shmuel says no, the taina atzmish de kesef. All it is 2 kesef, and when you deny it, you can even deny a pruta. Because if all you did was be moida by a pruta, you're still making a shvuah. So the machlokas is by kfira, if 1 pruta is enough, or do you need more? So let's see. Omer Rava, deikamas nisan kavasta de Rav. Our Mishnah apparently sounds like Rav, that it's only the kfiris taina is 2 kesef. V'kroi kavasid Shmuel. However, there will be a pasuk that will actually sound like Shmuel shita. So Deka not masnis and kavasid the Rav the Katani. What does it say? Hataina shtei kesef. It says that the taina was 2 kesef. V'hoida shava pruta, and the admittance was a shava pruta. V'ilu kfiris taina pruta lokatani. It doesn't mention anything about the kfiris taina being a pruta. But tnan nami ahoida b'pruta, a person admits to a pruta, the ilu kfiris b'pruta lokatani. Not that he denied the pruta. There was a hoida of a pruta. So it must be again like the shita of Rav. Okay. V'kroi kavasa de Shmuel. The chsev kiyitin ish el rehu kesavu kelim lishmor. So you give someone something to watch, either money or a vessel. So ma kelim. So why does it mention these 2 things? So we learn out one from the other. Ma kelim shnayim. That's lashon rabbim. So I have kesef shnayim. It's got to be at least shtei kesef. Ma kesef davar choshev, and I've called davar choshev. So, but the kvira could even be 1 pruta, right? That's what Shmuel says. That even if it's just 1 pruta, then that would be enough. I feel loy kafar elba pruta. B'kaim rachmana kihuzet, that would be a chiv. For Rav hahuma boile l'hoida b'mixas hatayna, that when it comes to hoida b'mixas hatayna, that it's talking about the actual chiv shvua. Shmuel ksivhu v'ksiv zeh. The kafar b'mixas v'oida b'mixas chayiv. It's coming to, that's how we see that you admit to some and you deny some. That's being covered. That's by moed b'mixas. So that's when you're chayiv. Rav chadol hoida b'mixas hatayna v'chadol hoida momon hatayna. So mamin hatayna. It's actually coming to tell you a second thing, that it has to be the exact same thing. So that if someone says you owe me 100 fur coats, and I say, oh, I actually owe you 50 bottles of milk, right? So that's not moed b'mixas. It has to be a minataina. So that's what I'm telling you. Shmuel lama meila shamat mina dechasule taina. Obviously, it wouldn't work. You don't need an extra pasuk to be able to tell you that the moed b'mixas has to be minataina. Obviously, it has to be minataina. Eloi mechorav kesef ki asa mikara. When it comes l'kfirahu da'asa, the imke, it's talking about the kfira, the denial of kesef. The imke, because if not, lichta rachmana kiyitin isho rehu kelim lishmor be'anei amina ma kelim shnayim afkan shnayim kesef dechas rachmana lamli imeinu in l'taina to inyan l'kfira. Shmuel Oimelach ikas rachmana kelim. No, it only said one or the other. Havamina ma kelim shnayim. Av kol shnayim. Everything has to be 2. Well, davar chashiv will be inan. If it doesn't have to be davar chashiv, kamashmon has to be davar chashiv. Tanan. Shtei kesef yesh li b'yadcha. So you have shtei kesef in your hands. Enecha b'yadiv el pruta. All you have is a pruta. So in that case, it says your potus. My time. La misham dechasu taina. Because since it's not shtei kesef, so you're missing the proper claim. But you have to do Shmuel. So Shmuel, mi savard shava katani davka katani. Doesn't mean its value. It means its exact amount. Masha taino loy haidaloi masha haidaloi taino, and therefore it's not mimida taina. Yihachim a seifa shtei keser pruta yeshal biyadcha. If it's you have 2 keser and a pruta, einocha biyad el pruta so chayiv. The yamer bishlam shava misham hachi chayiv, because it has value. El yamer davka my chayiv. Masha taino loy haidal masha haidal taina. One is silver, one's a copper coin. So midahu taima el Shmuel. The yamer Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel tainu chitin the sayin v'haidal be'echad mehen chayiv achanami. So that's what it's telling you, that if you say you owe me wheat and barley and I admit to one of them, that is considered moed b'mixas. So too, when it comes to shtei kesef and a pruta, if I'm moeded to the pruta, so I'll be chayiv too. L'hachanam estabim v'tani seifa. Litra zahav which is a measurement of gold. It's silver, potter. Now, its value of my potter, liter tuvahavi. It certainly is a lot, so never chashem. The sefer davka, reshanami davka. Lem tempted div the rab. So maybe l'char should be kash on rab. So malach rab, kul masnisin shava. It's all talking about its value. Velitra zahav shani. However, in this case, it is different. Says Rashi, the kivan the ta'ainu mishkoil, its weight, vaday davka katani. Avul kol matbeyo is the masnisin shava kaimer shederach matbeyo soisin damim mechol devrayim. So coins are shava. Rav is what Rav holds, the value of the item. Shmuel holds davka, it's the actual item. Okay, fine. So v'liter zahav shiny, dav memonav teda, the katani seifa dinner zahav libyad. It says you have a dinner of zahav in your hand. Ein l'chabiyadi el dinner kesef. No, you have silver. V'trisis upundioin upruta chayev. Shekol min matbe achasen, because it's all like the same coins. Its value because it has value. They're two separate things. That you had a claim about all the coins. Because the prut is part of the mint. Isa. Take a nominated tani shakol min matbe achas, v'rav shakol din matbe achas. Rabbi Lezer lemam in the Seifa Kishmuel Matarts Resha Nami Kishmuel. So Svirle low. So Svirle low. Seifa Davka Tani Shakol Min Madbe Achas Resha Karav O Kishmuel. So we don't necessarily have, it doesn't have to be like Rab or Shmuel necessarily clean in the when it says Shakol min by achas, but that's the Reisha could either be Rab or Shmuel. Okay, we're going to stop there and maybe see a couple more questions. So, Shtei Kesav Yesh B'yadcha, Ein L'cha B'yadi Ela Pruta Potter. My time up, why would you be Potter? So one is because I read the Tainu Shava, Rav holds it's the value of the item, Mishum de Chasra Lo Kfiras Hataina Mishtei Kesav, because the taina must be the kfir sataina must be 2 kesef, and all we have over here is the whole value of 2 kesef. L'shmuel the iri the tainu davka patim mishum the masha tanu loy haydel loy masha haydel loy taina. So it's because it's an issue of mimin hataina. Question 1. Dini zahav li biyadcha. Yeah, you have gold of mine. El dinner kesef. So bepruta chayev shakol min matbe acha. So my kamashman masnis l'shmul diyemer b'shetainu matbois. Hechem etaretz rav hadinetani shakol min matbe lefrusha d'shava dinner katani. So we learn out that a pruta is machal matbeya, and also the din matbeya yeshel hen. Shav hakatana shebehen yeshel kedei hoida l'chayev v'shua. That it's enough in it to be chayev in a shvur. Okay. Question TB 4. Shtei kesav yesh li b'yadcha ein l'cha b'yadei el pruta potter madua. So we basically just had this. So either because it's not mimina taina. Let's see what I wrote first. Moed b'miksa sarchlius mimina taina v'zeh kechitim v'sa'irin. Sar sh'l'chol pachais b'kfiras shtayim kesef v'lo pruta achas. Let's see what he wrote. There's no answer here. Adkan.